Hello, this is Hali here, and I have another guest for the Holistic Creative Chat series. Today I am so thrilled to introduce to you from Ireland, author, artist, publisher, editor, mentor, women's group facilitator, mother, dreamer, dream realizer, Lucy Pearce. So thank you, Lucy, for joining us today.
I'm delighted to be with you. Gosh, that's quite a list of things, isn't it?
I know. I go to the websites. I always go to the websites when I invite Spectrum contributors, ahead of time, of course, to learn a little bit about you. But I always go back right before the interviews again. And I was just like reading all the things that you do, Lucy. And I bet you hear this all the time. It's just like, oh my gosh, you are like all over the place doing all these beautiful creative things with people. I just admire that so much. It's so inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you. I often look back and think, wow, how do I do that, or how did I do that? But at the time, I always feel like I'm not doing enough, and I'm not really doing anything because I'm so scattered in so many places. So I understand that to see the full spectrum of what I do does look kind of daunting, but really the experience of being in it and doing it is not that.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. Yeah. I think so many people listening get that too. I see that with the women I work with in general, but just always this sense of not enough, not doing enough. And that's like the first layer we have to start to peel away.
It's insanity. It is total insanity. And I think it kills you in the end.
Yeah.
It either drives you crazy or it kills you. And you probably lie on your deathbed going, oh, sugar, I didn't do enough. It's craziness, isn't it? Totally mad.
It is. We're such a neat species. Oh, all right. So Lucy, what I like to ask to begin with is if you could just tell us a little bit about what your personal creative practice is looking like for you right now in your life.
Well, right now I am just about to give birth, and it really feels like give birth to my first e-course. It's a flagship e-course, which means it has everything basically that I've learned in the last 4 years of self-publishing, being an author. I've written 4 books, and an editor of many, many, many books, and a publisher now with Womancraft Publishing. So it's everything condensed from all that knowledge into one course. And my goodness, it's been a real experience putting it together over the last year. And we're at that last little bit of trying to get it out into the world. And my goodness, all the demons are coming up and I'm having to shoot them down one by one and compassionately put other ones to bed, and try to stay centered and focused on why I'm doing it. And why I'm doing it is the same reason that I do all my creative stuff. It is to give the support and the help that I needed when I was in that place and I couldn't find anywhere. That's the root of all of my books. It's the root of this e-course. It's what did I need and want then that I couldn't find, and give that wholeheartedly and fully. And so it's just reconnecting with that again and again as I get stuck in the techie nightmares of putting together an e-course. I'm not technically minded, and really interestingly, all the self-published authors that I've interviewed for the free interview series that goes along with it, all of them aren't techie minded either. So it's really weird that we're here in this land of technology which supports and gets our work out to people. It's how we connect with the world, and yet we don't feel like we're techie natives. And so it's that constant challenge and struggle of kind of traditional creativity having to be translated through technology. And it's a challenge, a real challenge, because what I'd really like to be is kind of curled up with some paints in front of the fireplace or whatever, not trying to figure out e-course platforms and how to record things and all of that. So that's the real challenge for me at the moment, is kind of integrating my deep creative process with how do I get it out there in the world to as many people as I can.
Oh, you so beautifully articulate something that I've been thinking a whole lot in the past couple of years of my life, but really lately especially. And because there's more of us artists out there now with the technology that have the ability to connect, but also that feel this real calling to serve and to offer what we couldn't find elsewhere. And so our creativity does become, more than being with our paints or writing our art or whatever it is, or making our music, whatever our art is. It becomes about creating these experiences or these offerings, sometimes it's a women's group, doing these things that bring to light to others to help them find their own creative practice and their own ways of also offering their creativity. And so in itself, that e-course creation becomes your art. And then when we want to, convey, because art is really a communication, once it's, received by a receiver, once we convey what it is that we're trying to, articulate, we have so much to learn in order to do that appropriately with the technical stuff.
Oh, so much to learn.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It is. It's terrifying. And also I think it's just so incredible to me because I see it in artists all the time. It's like, we love to learn though. We love to experiment with this stuff, with new ways of communicating and expressing and seeing how we can then transmit and offer that sort of stuff to one another. So, yay you. And I totally know what you mean about the labor pains on that stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess what I'm really pushed forward by is, I was writing a blog post about it recently, this idea of revolution, of creative revolution, of creativity really helping to shift our culture and us as individuals forward. And I believe that so deeply and so strongly that it's kind of my commitment to my own work and my commitment to being a human being right here, right now, at this time, in this place, that my job is, whether I like it or not, unfortunately, but my job is to do everything that I can to help as many other people be able to connect with themselves, connect with what drives them, their deepest self, which has been overlaid by years of kind of education and dogma and cultural things that don't really work anymore, and to try and help them to personally strip that back so they can find whatever their essence, their core, their center is, and then, and this is the very crucial second part, for them to be able to express that in some way in the world, to use that to impact the culture which we are all co-creating all the time. And that's just, that's non-negotiable for me, and therefore I have to get through all of these technical challenges. I have to face my own anxieties again and again, because I believe absolutely that has to happen now, because there are much bigger forces out there that are shaping the world in all sorts of yucky ways, and our economies are really being strangled by people who are saying, we have to cut back, we have to put a stranglehold on things so that the 1% get all their goodies, and the 99% you have to feel ashamed that you don't have enough money. All of this sort of thing is kind of happening. So we need to turn it around some way, and that way that we can do it is by authentically connecting with ourselves and then expressing and co-creating a new culture which is going to serve all of us, not just the 1% sitting on top.
Hallelujah. It's that connecting with that creative sense of connection, our own truth, our own voice, our own dreams. Is your website's Dreaming Aloud.
Power.
Our own power, exactly, and activating it in the world, and then knowing
becoming empowered. It has to come centrally from realizing your own power and expressing your own, and learning how to do that not just by yourself but with other people too. We have no other hope for humanity. End of story.
Yeah.
And it's not just about painting pictures or writing books or making art.
Exactly. If that stuff isn't helping you relate, that's what I think about a lot. If that stuff isn't helping you relate to other people and find a way to express it in a way that relates and creates something different in the world, that is the dreaming aloud, that is the creating of the world we want to see, that then we're maybe not going deep enough with our creative practice. And that's my own personal conviction with it too. And I think what I'm hearing from you was so important is that your why. You know why you do what you do and why you're sharing what you share, and you're obviously so clear about it. And that was like the changing point for me too, is the why. Why am I doing this? Why am I sharing these things in the way that I'm trying to? Why am I trying to create the ways of sharing these things? And so really finding a way to get clear on what the why is for people is so powerful, and really stepping into that like holistic creative wholeness that we are, to activate the world we want to see, and it
I
becoming.
would say absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
And to also be able to hold the faith when we can't see the why clearly. Because
Yes.
I came into my why really clearly again about 2 weeks ago. But until then, I felt like I was fumbling in the darkness. I felt like, hey, on my blog, I'm writing about business. I'm writing about how I make money. I'm writing about writing books and creativity and motherhood and mindfulness. And I'm like, this is all jumbly. Why am I writing about all of these different things? I can't see how they fit together. I'm sure I need to focus on just one thing. And then suddenly the why absolutely at gone midnight one night fell into place. And I thought, aha, this is the uniting thread.
Yeah. And isn't it amazing? Like I'm sort of, because you're bringing up so many beautiful things. First of all, how we cycle in the creative process, how we have to go,
Holds
yeah, how we have to go into that like
holds the light
gestational
for ourselves.
darkness, and then it becomes clear again, and then we'll go back in
Yeah,
again, and then it becomes
yeah.
clear again, and then when we get the why, when it does seem clear in that time or those moments, I think, like for me, the most beautiful thing is that even within the why contains all those little pieces and parts from when we felt so scattered and all over the place. But it's like it all gels and fits together in that moment of clarity, and then we move forward and we take the steps. Yeah, it's
But
beautiful.
one thing that I've really kind of noticed in my own work is that whilst as creatives we can focus on the piece of art that we're making or the book that we're writing, we get really focused on just that project. Actually, the wider sphere around that, the how I make money, how I do business in the world, how I interact with my clients, how I connect with people, all of that is vital because we are living, creating in our work and
Yes.
around our work new ways of being in the world. And that is just as important as that book or that piece of art, that new way of being in the world and living it out. And not always having the answer, but having the courage to keep living and creating your own vision of how to do business in the world, how to
Yeah.
be a mother in the world, how to co-partner. All of that sort of thing is just as important as that piece of art that you're making.
Well, absolutely. The art is, to me, the art is the practice, and life is also practice. And so that's how they feed one another. But being willing to show up is really what it's all about. Showing up and to maybe flop, and it not come out in the way you might have meant to express it, but to show up and to say, I don't know, but here we go. Let's try this new thing, this new way, this little bit of vision that I'm holding for a second, and then
A willingness to be vulnerable.
absolutely. Yeah. So beautiful, Lucy. Thank you. It's so inspiring. I love the way you articulate this passion you carry.
Thank you.
So the question I ask everybody is pulling back into how it is that the creative process kind of works through us in this the undercurrent way, the way that often doesn't have words. And the question is, how do you define healing today?
How do I define healing? I guess for me, healing is a willingness to show up and to be vulnerable again and again and again. A willingness to truly look at what might be painful, what might be raw, and to stand there with it and to inquire into it. And to be willing to be in the process of whatever it is that feels painful, and to be willing to let it change form, because often we can attach to our stories or our pain and see it very set in stone. We repeat the same story again and again. We feel the same pain again and again, and we can very much kind of make it into tiny kind of, or very kind of all-encompassing, a thing that has set boundaries and form that we know, we're familiar with. And I think the key to healing is to be willing to show up to it with new questions and to allow it to teach us new things, rather than us defining it or it defining us. Rather just to show up with curiosity and be in a space with it and allow what needs to come through from it to come through.
Beautiful. I love that. Oh, thank you. So everybody can find you. You have a couple websites that I'm aware of. You may have more, but dreamingaloud.net and Happy Womb. Is happywomb.com? Or
it's thehappywomb.com.
Okay, and I will put links right below the video. So
brilliant.
And you have your first e-course coming up on self-publishing. When is that coming out, Lucy? Tell us a bit about that.
The free interview series starts on the 23rd of February, and that the cart is open for 2 weeks. And there's 14 modules and 6 bonuses. There's live question and answers. There's a Facebook group, so there's a chance to really work through it at people's own pace, and also to have interaction with me. And so that's that. And then now I've found my way with e-courses. There will be more e-courses coming up. I'm going to be doing one on Pinterest later in the year, and I'm going to be doing. People are always asking me to lead writing workshops, bearing in mind my roots are in English teaching, and I used to be a creative writing teacher. So I'm going to go into that on the internet.
Excellent.
So there we are, committed to it now. So I can't back out of it.
Saying it out loud.
So yes, so if people go to dreamingaloud.net /publisher, they will find all the information about the publishing e-course, self-publishing
Excellent.
e-course.
Thank you so much. And I'm absolutely thrilled that you're contributing to Spectrum this year too. We are honored to have your passion and spark come into that holistic creator circle this year as well. So Lucy, thank you so much.
I'm so excited to be part of it. And you've got so many of my favorite teachers there too, who I just can't wait to see what they're giving. So
it's fun to contribute, and it's fun to be able to come along for the ride too as a contributor and a participant.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And everyone I've been telling is so excited about it. That combination of creativity and healing, I just think is so key and so vital.
Yeah. Oh, thank you again, Lucy, and thanks for everybody for listening.